Adjunct Professor Moran, Microeconomics 112. At the conclusion of our unit on different types of business competition, I've provided a review sheet that talks about each type of competition: pure competition, monopolist competition, which shares cost curves with oligopoly and monopoly, and what happens when we regulate monopoly and the different conditions that apply. I've tried to focus on long-run equilibriums, prices taken from the market, as well as short-run equilibriums, with a description of those conditions and their impact on allocative and productive efficiency. And the three decisions each firm has to make: profit max, loss min, or shut down. Under what conditions those are met? Perhaps I should put that first. You might want to read this before you begin the review sheet. Purely competitive firms have a perfectly elastic demand curve, means flat. They take their price from the market. That price is this flat line. Depending on the cost structure of the firms, they're either going to experience a short-run profit or a short-run loss. And there will be a long-run equilibrium. If the price set by the market is higher than average total cost minimum, then this firm will be achieving a short-run profit. The goal is to find marginal revenue equals marginal cost for all competitors. Then compare where that price is in relation to average total and average variable cost. If price is greater than the average total cost, there will be a profit. Here is at marginal cost, price equals demand equals marginal revenue equals average revenue. That intersection, then this firm is achieving an economic profit. I did this in a different software package. It was hard to make these lines line up. You can see that price is greater than average total cost, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, keeping in mind that marginal revenue for a pure competitor equals price. And at that quantity, price is greater than average total cost. This is a short-run profit, and that's the economic profit. Profit per unit on the number of units. Price greater than average total cost. Now that'll signal more firms to enter this market. And what's going to happen is this price will decline. And it's going to decline until price set from the market is equal to average total cost min. And that's going to be along the equilibrium. Because there are no barriers to entry, if there's a short-run profit, more firms will enter the industry. Though, in a pure competitive industry, there's a short-run loss, that means the price is less than average total cost min. Again, the rule is to find marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Price equals marginal revenue for a pure competitive firm. That happens here. Compare that to average total cost at this quantity and price combination. Average total cost is greater than price. the firm is losing this much money per unit on this many units. This is the total economic loss. Price minus average total cost times quantity. Total economic loss. This is a signal for firms to leave the market. Here, we'll go from S1 to S3. Firms leaving the market. Notice that the equilibrium price will rise. As the equilibrium price rises, the economic loss will be eliminated. Again, until the firm is achieving at marginal cost, marginal revenue, which in the long run will achieve average total cost. Notice that in a counterintuitive way, when the market supply is decreasing, each individual firm will produce more, because the surviving firms will respond positively to the increase in price. But when there is an economic profit, the supply increases, price falls. Existing firms will produce less in response to the lower price sent from the market. But the number of firms entering the market will offset the decreased amount of production from individual firms already in the market. So in the long run, we'll have an equilibrium where, for all firms in any competitive industry, marginal revenue equals marginal cost. For a pure competitive firm, because it has a perfectly elastic demand curve, price equals marginal revenue, which will also equal average revenue, which will equal demand. So there will be this giant equality of all of these equaling this, and in the long run, it'll equal this. That's a long run equilibrium. There's no economic profit, no economic loss, but there is a normal profit, which you'll have to go back and review our work on costs to understand that. A normal profit is an opportunity cost, basically. It's an amount that has to be rewarded to someone for going to become an entrepreneur as opposed to a laborer and accepting the additional responsibilities of becoming an entrepreneur. Pure competition will give us allocated efficiency. Allocated efficiency is price equals marginal cost. Marginal cost, price. If a firm produces where price is greater than marginal cost, then although the firm is making more money per unit of output, it is foregoing this area of additional profit it could have added by producing more. Because of the principle of diminishing marginal returns, describing how additional units of variable input added to a fixed plant capacity will affect costs, this firm is experiencing diminishing marginal returns. Its costs producing additional units of output are rising, but price is still greater than cost at these units, so it will be adding to total revenue. It will be profit maximizing if it continues. This is the invisible hand at work. The firm will not stop here, where it's making more money per unit. It will continue producing and add this additional revenue, even though it's making less money per unit. This price is a signal from the market. The market is signaling it wants this much output. This much output per firm times the number of firms to get that much output in the market. By stopping before that happens, this firm is said to be under allocating. These firms are not devoting enough resources to get to where society wants. When price is greater than marginal cost, firms are under allocating. Firms won't do that because they'll produce to this point where price equals marginal cost, quantity produced per firm times number of firms, the amount society desires, allocated efficiency. The production of goods and services most desired by society, which will happen under a purely conventional industry. However, if the firm goes ahead and produces where price is less than marginal cost, price, marginal cost at this quantity, then the firm isn't necessarily wiping out its profits, but because it's losing money on these units, price less than marginal cost, its total profit is going down, the firm has a strong incentive to go back to this point and produce at the amount that society wants as sent by the industry. In this example, since more is being produced than society wants, this is considered over-allocating. And the invisible hand will take over, and firms will know not to do this because they're going to try to profit max. Long-run adjustment giving us allocative efficiency. Productive efficiency is obtained in a purely competitive industry because, as we demonstrated before, price will eventually be equal to average total cost. Price equals marginal cost, either firms entering the industry and driving down price to eliminate economic profit, or leaving to drive up price to eliminate economic loss, where you have this triple equality. Well, price equals average total cost min equals productive efficiency. Which is price equals average total cost min. Least cost production, which gets the most out of society's limited resources and allows the maximum production, maximum satisfaction of society's wants. So pure competition in the long run will achieve both productive efficiency, least cost method of production, price equals average total cost min, as well as allocative efficiency, the production of goods and services most desired by society. More of it if price is greater than marginal cost, less of it if price is less than marginal cost. Neither of these conditions, productive or allocated efficiency, will happen under conditions of imperfect competition, which describes market competition of monopolistic competition, oligopoly, or monopoly. These cost curves are similar to draw. Short-run profit, short-run loss, long-run equilibrium for a monopolistic competitive firm. These are true for all three, monopolistically competitive, oligopoly, and monopoly. But in the long run, this is a long-run profit is possible under very limited conditions of monopolistic competition, but definitely possible for oligopoly and monopoly. No firm can produce in the long run at a loss. In the long run, both oligopoly and monopoly can achieve long-run profits. But in the long run, in most situations, a monopolistically competitive industry will settle at this long-run equilibrium. Okay, let's discuss what these are. Here, because imperfect competitors need to lower price to sell more because demand is a negative relationship between price and quantity, and these firms no longer have identical products and unlimited, that means that their products are somewhat differentiated. They see the downward sloping nature of a demand curve. Demand is a negative relationship usually in imperfect competitors between, and in a market situation for all, between price and quantity demanded. So to sell more units, these imperfect competitors have to lower their price. They can't just lower their price in most situations on only the next unit. So to lower their price, they have to, on the next unit sold, they have to lower their price on all prior units. That's going to create a difference between marginal revenue, how much extra revenue a firm brings in when selling one more unit, and price. That gives us this inverted V. The decision criteria is going to be marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That is going to result in the best outcome for each of these imperfect competitors, whether it's profit maximization, loss minimization, or shutting down. So the rule is to first define marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Marginal cost, marginal revenue. Here's the location. The firm will sell this quantity. Now price is not read from that point. Marginal revenue is no longer equal to price because of this inverted V and the fact that the firm has to take a discount on all prior units to sell more, not just the last unit sold. So price at that quantity is read from the demand line. At this point, in this scenario, price is greater than average total cost. The profit is making this much profit per unit on this many units. This is its economic profit. Like any rectangle, it's base times height. The demand curve that the monopolist competitor or oligopolist or monopolist sees is downward sloping. He has some ability to control quantity sold by adjusting his price. Price no longer equals marginal revenue. He will not produce where marginal cost. He will produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, not where price equals marginal cost, because price no longer equals marginal revenue. And these imperfect competitors have to decide whether they're going to produce where price equals marginal cost or marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And it turns out the best scenario, profit max, loss min, or shut down, occurs where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That's here. So then you have to read the price from the demand line over here. Profit or loss is not determined from this point. It's determined from price in relation to average total cost. These two curves. In this scenario, price is greater than average total cost and results in an economic profit. A short-run economic loss is where we find marginal revenue equals marginal cost, marginal revenue. This is price equals demand. Now we look for the second step. Where is this in relation to average total cost? And in this situation, you can see that price is less than average total cost. So this is a short run economic loss. On each unit they're losing this much. On this many units. And the area of that rectangle is your economic loss. In a monopolistic industry, and only in a monopolistic industry, not oligopoly or monopoly, because barriers are low in monopolistically competitive industry, this inverted V will shift back and forth. And in the long run, it will shift to the point where you will not have an economic profit or an economic loss. In the long run, price equals demand. This is marginal revenue. This is marginal cost. This inverted V will shift back and forth until the price is equal to average total cost. This is not productive efficiency, because productive efficiency happens where price equals average total cost min. That happens where this crosses marginal cost. And you'll have to go back to the cost chapter to recall that both the average total cost curve and the average variable cost curve both minimize where they cross the marginal cost curve. Because this is positively sloping, because the marginal cost curve is positively sloping, those have to minimize this way, over here on the right, compared to this. So this is no economic profit, no economic loss, because price is average total cost, but it is not productive efficiency, price average total cost min. And this is the long run equilibrium in a monopolistically competitive industry where there are low barriers to entry. When there is an economic profit, firms will join the industry, driving prices down. When there is an economic loss, firms will leave the industry, driving prices up. And this inverted V will shift back and forth until the price equals demand line is tangential to the average total cost curve and there is no economic profit or loss. But that will never happen over here, where price equals average total cost min, giving us productive efficiency. As a result, neither monopolistically competitive industries, oligopolistically competitive industries, or monopolistically competitive industries will give us productive efficiency, price equals average total cost min, or allocated efficiency, where price equals marginal cost. Because that will always happen in these areas. A regulated monopoly. In monopoly conditions, as any imperfect competitor, the firm is going to produce where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Here's the inverted V. Go up until you hit the demand price line at that quantity, and here's the price. This is price monopoly, quantity monopoly. A government regulator can regulate a monopoly either to give an approximation of allocated efficiency, price equals marginal cost, or productive efficiency, price equals average total cost, min. If the regulator chooses allocated efficiency, price equals marginal cost, that happens at this point. Notice though that price equals average marginal cost, this firm is producing at a loss compared to its average total cost. This would cause a long-run loss for the firm and drive it out of business, which is not legal. If regulators want this to happen, they would have to produce a subsidy. They would have to provide the firm with a subsidy of this amount to keep it in business. If the regulators instead want to provide a firm with what's called a fair return, where there is no economic profit or loss, they would have to choose price equals average total cost. Price equals average total cost happens at this point, which is not its minimum, because productive efficiency happens at price equals average total cost minimum, which doesn't happen further out in the curve. Alright, so price equals average total cost minimum happens where the average total cost curve crosses the marginal cost curve, which because of economies of scale doesn't happen until way out here. This is an extreme form of these cost curves. As a result, this will be price equals average total cost, but not minimum. So it's not productive efficiency, but it approximates productive efficiency. Notice in our three scenarios, unregulated monopolies charge the highest price at the lowest quantity. The fair return, or price equals average total cost, but not average total cost minimum, is lower than an unregulated monopolist and produces a greater quantity. The best for society, the allocative amount, gives us the lowest price and the highest quantity, but since it puts the firm in a loss position, is not possible. This concludes the review of the chapters we've done on the different types of business competition. Their price quantity combination decisions marginal revenue equals marginal cost, the resulting profit loss, loss min, long run equilibriums, as well as a discussion of regulated monopoly.